All right, 127 is all about string methods. And so here's the learning objectives. You should be able to create string objects, call string methods. So you were creating string objects in the last one. One of the methods that we went over so far was the concatenation one, so we're just adding to it basically on this one. Tons of essential knowledge here. This first one, it says APIs and libraries simplify complex programming tasks. That's just basically other people are coding other stuff out that you can use on your own codes. More or less, it's more libraries than interfaces. Documentations for APIs and libraries are essential to understanding the attributes and behaviors of an object of a class. So if you are using other people's codes, you're going to want to check that documentation so you know how to do it. Classes and APIs and libraries are grouped into packages. The string class is part of the java.lang package. And it is default, so it's already like, oh, it says right here, classes in the java.lang package are available by default. So that's why you're able to use the string right away. You don't need to import it or anything like that. The next bullet point here, it says a string object has an index value of 0 to length minus 1. We're going to go over that in a little bit, but just know that the first letter of a string or first character, doesn't have to be a letter, the first character of a string starts at 0, not 1. Okay, huge confusion on that with people on the test. And it goes to the length of the string minus 1. So say the string was just like hello, that would be 5 letters, but it would go 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the index for it. So the length would be 5, but the indexes go from 0 to 4. That's why it says 0 to length minus 1. I have an example so I can kind of show you that. If you try to go outside of the index, then it gets that index out of bounds exception. So if you get that error, that means you were trying to call something on the string that was outside of the length of the string. It just wasn't an index in the string is what I should say, not the length. A string object can be concatenated with a reference object, which implicitly calls the reference object's toString method. You're gonna have to just see that yourself. I wouldn't be able to show you that right now. But basically, if you try to print an object, it's actually pretty cool. If you try to print an object that shows like where it is in memory, unless there is a toString method with it, and it kind of default prints that out to the screen. It's kind of cool how you do that. But it'll make more sense when you do the activity. It says the following string methods and constructors included with what they do and when they are used are part of the quick reference. That is linked on the website. If you go to APCSA, there's a link for the quick reference, and it includes all of the things that I have right there. And then it says a string identical to the single element substring of a position can be created. I'm going to go over substrings right now. So first thing we're going to talk about is length. If you write the length right here, actually, let's just copy and paste this and throw in BlueJay. This is a full class and everything. Look at that. Okay. New class. Throw that in there. Run it. Actually, let's break it down first. So the string is high, and then it's going to print that string, and then it's going to print the length of the string, which is there's 3 characters: the H, the I, and the exclamation point. So that's what's going to be outputted to the screen. Super simple code with the length. Can't make that any bigger, but hopefully you can see that. The next thing I wanted to go over was, if it goes, there we go, is the index. Let's see, I think I have an example code right here that kind of explains it. Or am I lying? Nope, I did substring code. Yeah, I guess substring would actually help with the index. So let me show you that first. So substring, sub just means like below. Like if you think like subway or sub-zero, it's below 0, that sort of thing. Subterranean is like below the earth. So substring is just like part of the string. It's like below the whole string. It's not below it like with its direction, but it's a smaller piece of the string if you want to think of it that way. Let's go to this code here. Oops. I only put an A in there. That's embarrassing. Okay, so if we compile this, go back to here to, oops, and run it, which you can, hold on. So what you can see here is I printed the substring from index 2 to index 7. Well, index 2 for hello world would be, so this is 0, oops, wrong button. 0, 1, and 2. So it's going to start at this L right here. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Wait, minus 1 to 6. Okay, it's kind of annoying, and I just messed it up there. You can see how easy it is to mess up. So one thing with the string is it starts at 0 for the index, okay, and it goes to whatever the length is minus 1. So the length of this is 13, so it would go to 12, but it stops 1 before for substring for whatever reason. I'm sure there's a reason for that. It explains it right here. So if you actually want it to go the entire, string, you have to add 1 to it. It will not count that. So technically what this did, the substring 2 to 7, it went from the second index, which is really the third character, and went to the 6th index, which is the 7th character. Okay? Does anybody know why they do it that way? And every programming language does it differently. Most of them are indexed, like 0-based indexing, but some start at 1. I believe like Scratch started at 1.
Lua.
Go ahead. For loops, you said?
No, I was going to say Lua starts at 1. And that's why I hate it.
And then I don't know why they cut it off short. I'm sure there's some reason for it. I just didn't do the research for it to figure that out. It doesn't really matter. You don't need to know why they stop early, but it is pretty annoying. Okay? And it's one of those things where it's like, people might mess that up. You run the code and go, oh, silly me, I messed up the substring again. And then you go and change it. Okay? But in real life on the test, you have to write the code by hand, which is kind of annoying, so you can't check it. So you just hopefully don't mess that up, essentially. Okay, super annoying. Okay, but there is some reasoning for it, I'm assuming. But it would just be nice if they started at 1, not 0, and it would be nice if they went through the whole. Actually, I think if you're doing substrings in Python, it does the whole thing. Pretty sure. Do you remember? Does anybody remember? It's not important, but just make sure you're aware of that. It does talk about it in the activity. Quick reference, again, it's linked on the site. And you do have to get accustomed to looking at this because it's not, I don't know, it's not exactly the most intuitive thing in the world, but you can kind of see the string class right here, all the things that you don't have to memorize, you can just use this here. Oh, I guess so you don't have to really memorize it because it says the substring thing right here. Oh yeah, you could have a substring. This is an overloaded method where you could just do it to the from, and then it goes to the end. Here, let me show you what I mean. So this makes more sense. Say I just left this blank here, I did substring 2 and ran this. It's going to go from 2 to the end. Index 2 to the end. See how I went from 2 and then all the way to the rest of the string. Okay. So yeah, you're just basically going to be playing around with these methods here, making sure you know how to do them. It is really important to understand that sometimes you're going to have to code something out, and it's not going to say using the length method or using the substring method. You just kind of have to like read the clues for that and realize, oh shoot, I have to use some of this other stuff. Okay. Sometimes you have to use the length method in the substring. Like say you did like length method -2, so like it went whatever length of the string it is -2. Like there's sometimes questions ask certain things like that. Yeah, the rest of them we don't really need to go over because you're gonna go over them in the activity. Again, this is meant to just be kind of a snapshot, real quick explanation of all this stuff. It's not supposed to be the lesson, so please make sure you actually do the lesson as well. Make sure you tinker with the code as much as possible too, just so you can kind of experiment with it, get a feel for it.